My name is Richard Adams, and I was with the 45th Division, Company C of the 157th Regiment, and I was going into southern France, made the invasion, and was moving up the Rhone Valley, and the date was September the 25th, 1944. On that particular day, we were advancing up across the field, and then the Germans were in a wooded area, and we took over the wooded area and pushed them back through into the open field beyond. And while we were in this wooded area, I seemed to think that one of the best places to keep from getting hit was behind a tree. So I happened to be standing behind a tree when a shell had come in right alongside of me, and it hurt one of the boys that was closer to the shell than I was. All I got was about 7 or 6 pieces of shrapnel in my hands. They were all small pieces, and when shrapnel hits you, it is red hot, so it really doesn't, it's not a pain, it's just like getting a needle for the flu shot or something like that, because it just barely hits you like that. And I had 2 pieces that stayed in my skin, one on my thumb, which I still have a little scar there, and 1 piece right behind the knuckle of my ring finger. The other were superficial scars that all it done was cause bleeding. They took me off the front line, and I caught a Jeep in the background and rode into the battalion aid station. And there the chaplain, Father Burry, was there, and he was a pretty good medic. So he said, "Come here, soldier," and looked at my hand, and he washed it all off, cleaned it. The thing, we didn't have knew too much about penicillin in those days, so sulfa powder was the nicest antibiotic that they could use. So he cleaned up all my 2 big wounds and took out the piece of shrapnel that was in my thumb and back of my hand, and then he doused it right into the wound with sulfa powder, and he put it on all of them. Then he just bandaged my whole hand right up, my fingers and then my hand as a spot. And as this served a purpose, he said, "Why don't you spend the day here with us? And are you left-handed?" And I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "Well, that hasn't bothered your left hand at all, so you can go ahead and go back to the front lines tonight on the truck that's taking up the supplies." I said, "Okay." So I stayed around. This was in the morning, about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, so I stayed at the battalion headquarters there for the rest of the day, caught the truck, went back up, and I'm back into service and ready to fight on the September the 26th. And that's the first part of when I received the Purple Heart.
Go ahead with a second. Go ahead with a second.
Oh, then in early November, the whole outfit was of the 157th Regiment was pulled out of combat, and we were sent up to get showers and change of clothes, and this was early November. I think it was close to about the 9th or 10th. And we had a little rest. They called it R&R, rest and relaxation. And we pitched some horseshoes and had 3 good solid meals every day. And we were supposed to be off the entire month of November, we were told when we went back. And but on the day of the 24th of November, we were given the bad news, we're going back up to the front again. So on the morning of the 25th of November 1944, back up to we got aboard trucks, and Raymond Dill had come to see me while I was back in this relaxation, and he had brought me a piece of bond bread fruit cake that I had received from one of the ladies back in Canterbury, Delaware. And he said, "Here, take part of this," and he wrapped it up in the foil, and I had it in my jacket pocket with me when when we went up to the front. And we got up to the front just a little after noon, debarked off of the trucks, and there started our march to relieve the outfits. And some of the new outfits that were all made up of new draftees were not conducive to knowing what was combat duty, and so Germans took advantage of them and were making advantages. I think it was about it was about a month and a half later we finally got up to where they were originally, and the Germans had driven them back that far. So I debarked off, got up to relieve the people about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was, of course, it was in the wintertime, and it got dark around 5. So we moved into position, relieved the guys, and they wanted us to advance for a little while. So we fought that and started advancing, and we advanced, I guess, maybe, not over 100 yards, and they said, then they brought everybody up in a straight line, told us to dig in for the night. Well, we took our packs off our back, took out our shovel, and we started to dig. Excuse me. It wasn't long that we had started to dig when this mortar shell came up, and Johnny later told me that I saw him as a civilian, and he told me that he was digging a hole with me, and he told me that I was digging at the foot, and he was digging at the head of the little trench we were going to sleep in, and the shell landed about 5 to 6 feet right in the back of me, and 3 pieces of shrapnel went into my rear left side. I don't like to call it getting hit in the back, because it's no honor to be shot in the back. So I always spoke of being hit, and it showed on my papers, my DD-214, that I received the cluster to the Purple Heart for an injury to the left side. This injury, I had to go back to the hospital, and they removed one piece, but they had a piece that was up under the rib, and he didn't have. They woke me up and told me that I still had a piece of shrapnel in me, because they didn't have the equipment to operate and go in there. By this time, they now had penicillin developed, and you got a shot of penicillin every 3 hours. So that meant for 24 hours you got 8 shots of penicillin. I was put in 34th General Hospital to recuperate, and as long as I had a fever, I was getting a shot of penicillin. So after 9 days and 72 shots, I didn't have to receive penicillin any longer. And then they still keep you for rehab to watch you after you're taken off of penicillin to see if anything develops. And there I helped the cooks cook breakfast and lunch in the hospital, and that was going around. And also in the hospital, I noticed that there was a German officer and a French officer, and all day long, all they done was play chess, and I would sit there for an hour and never see anybody move. They really played a hard game. Also, while I was in the hospital, I got to listen to the Army-Navy game, and then that was a big highlight of my stay in the Army. They had a radio that we could hear the Army-Navy game. I was discharged on 28th of December, and went back through the Repel Depot system and joined my outfit around January the 1st.
And then it was after that you went forward, and that's when...
And then I joined the outfit on possibly the 1st or 2nd of January. We're now in a position where they call the Vosges Mountains, which runs just north of the Swiss border. And